All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round number 5, I believe. No, this is round number 4 between EG.Idra and Select. We already had EG.Idra take it out one game in game number 2, and then Select was able to win 2 games. So now it's 2-1. It's round number 4 between these two players. EG.Idra is going to be the blue Zerg at the top left-hand corner. Let's check if the colors are correct. They are correct. Awesome. And Select will be the red Terran down in the bottom right-hand corner of this map. It is Outer Rim. Huge map. Pretty advantageous for Zerg in that regard. And I think most Terran players will agree that it is a slightly Zerg-favored map at that as well. But, wow, we've had a great series between these two players so far. And I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to over-exaggerate that. I think that these two have had an incredible history of matches before. They've competed so many times at MLG and so many other various tournaments, but this series in particular really got a kickstart in the butt when Select decided to just straight up say, you know what, I'm going to go against the mold. I'm gonna go against what Select thinks I will do, and I will cheese him. I will go ahead and just toss everything I have, including the kitchen sink, and he got 1 out of 2. And not only that, he really played, I think, with EG.Idra's mindset. He's got to have caused a little bit of fear. So at this point, he's actually winning the series. It is currently 2-1, and he's played it out pretty brilliantly thus far. We'll have to see what happens, as this is going to be game number 4. It looks like Select going to go ahead and gear up for 1 Rax with 1 gas. Could quite possibly be Reactor Hellions, but it could be a gas fast expand as well. We'll have to see. And right now it looks like EG.Idra going to go ahead and grab a quick hatchery too. Does not surprise me. They are cross spawns, so you know, this is a big map, and given their spawn locations, I would not be surprised to see a macro game here. And I know I say that all the time, guys, and it's like, you know, you always say that HD, then it's not a macro game. But, you know, I just gotta say it. It's a cross-spawn map. If you looked up the statistics and analyzed them, I'm sure most of the time you get a macro game, it's because the two players are spawning on a huge map and they're across from each other. It gives more space for expansions, gives less time, or it makes harassing units take more time to get over to the enemy base, and thus, you know, short games are, you know, not nearly as likely. So, you know, that's my little piece on that. Hopefully I'm correct, but, you know, it would be really weird if the short games or short maps and short positions are what usually have long macro games. Wouldn't that be a nice little twist? But it looks like EG.Idra going to go ahead and scout over to the top right here. He's now sending his drones over as well, to get that Maynard going on that hatchery, and it looks like Select is going to go and run up here with 2 SCVs. Now I wonder if he's going to go ahead and build a bunker or not. He's actually going to go for a Reaper, so that's why he got the gas. He wanted to go ahead and get an early tech lab for Reaper support, and if he can get a bunker up here on the high ledge, he can just hop the Reaper right from this down cliff up to the top. Remember, Reapers have that jetpack, and we don't see them being used too often, but in the early game they are still very, very effective. But, you know, EG.Idra already has quite a few Zerglings out, and I don't know if Select wants to risk building the bunker or not, but he's got to bring the Zerglings back because the Reaper is down inside the mineral line, and it's killed off 1 drone and a Zergling, tacked that on as well. And the Reaper hops back up on the cliff. Pretty risky play right here because Select doesn't know where the Zerglings are standing. If he hops on the cliff at the wrong time, at the wrong place, those Zerglings can get a very cheap surround, and that Reaper is done for. But it looks like EG.Idra was able to hold that off with, you know, minimal losses. And for now, it looks like the Reaper... Wow, second Reaper coming. Interesting. Select actually producing more Reapers. He's actually making a 3rd Reaper. This is a little uncharacteristic now, I feel. We see Terran players doing this in Terran versus Terran nowadays. You know, building 3 initial Reapers. But against a Zerg player, a little bit uncharacteristic, I feel like. And it's got to have caught EG.Idra a little bit off guard. Will EG.Idra build a Roach Warren? Because, you know, Roach Warrens are such a stable way to deal with Reapers. Roaches have thick hides. They don't take that much damage from Reapers. But the thing here is, if EG.Idra goes for the Roach Warren for defensive purposes, then he's really forfeiting his standard build. And that's something EG.Idra does not like to do. He doesn't like to let the enemy player dictate the game plan. And if EG.Idra gets thrown off his standard build of, you know, whatever it may be, Ling, Bling, and Amuta, then he's really at a disadvantage. He's not comfortable, and I think that's why Select built that many Reapers. He really wanted to try to throw EG.Idra off guard, but it doesn't look like EG.Idra's going to go for the Roach Warren. It looks like EG.Idra pretty comfortable with what he's got. I like the little dance rave party of Zerglings here we've got at the top of the cliff. Looks like EG.Idra really expecting some Reapers to come up here. But and he's got a queen over here to defend the naturals, so good coverage, good coverage. He's not gonna, you know, allow any surprise Reapers to come in and spoil his party. These Zerglings are all having a nice little drunk time right now. And it looks like we do have Select going to get ahead on the command center, and he lands it down. It is an orbital command, and he's going to start to get some mining going at his natural as he loads up the bunker at the front. So, you know, after the initial Reaper harass, nothing too crazy. For a second there, I thought maybe Select was going to go, you know, buck Reapers, and he was just going to go all out. You know, I'm going to bum rush you with like an LZ Gamer style of 5 racks Reaper, and I'm just going to go all out. But he didn't do it. And speaking of LZ Gamer, I haven't seen that guy around in a long time in the scene. I know I've seen him at MLG a few times. He's still a really cool guy, but I haven't seen any replays of him in quite a long time. I'll make a mental note of that. Mental note to HD, get a game of LZ Gamer, because you haven't seen one of him in a while. But look at this. Now Select gonna go for quick starport and reactor. So it looks like he's just gonna queue up a bunch of medevacs here. At least that's what it seems like. I don't imagine him going for Vikings this early on. And is he just gearing up for... I mean, that's a very fast starport. Typically, Terran players will get 1 or 2 more barracks down before they get the starport. And I wonder why Select's getting those medevacs so quickly. Maybe he's planning to go for some drop action right away in this game. That could be pretty effective. But certainly, Select has shown something this game that, you know, we've kind of seen before, but not to this extent. He's using a lot of creativity in this game to get ahead. He's certainly not playing the conventional style of Terran versus Zerg. He's really just taking it to Idra and doing a lot of damage and making it work wherever possible. Now, if medevacs are coming out, which they are, 2 at a time right now, then these overlords are going to be absolutely key. Idra's going to need to get overlords at the perimeter of Tal'Darim Altar, because that's where medevacs really like to go. They like to stay away from the middle of the field. They like to be incognito and all hidden and everything. So if Idra can keep overlords around the Terran base, he can get an early warning system essentially as to when those medevacs are coming out. But look at this. Select is pushing now. I don't know where his medevacs are. It looks like he's just, there they are. They're with the army, and it looks like, oh, the Zerglings need to run away. Select launching a major stim right there, but that's okay. He's got plenty of medevacs to heal himself up. But at the very least, Idra got a decent scout. He knows what's coming on the field, and as a response, he immediately, well, I guess he already had the Spire coming anyways, but he will go ahead and go into what seems to be Muta Baneling here, which I totally agree with. You know, Mutas, Banelings, very powerful strategy against Terrans for many reasons. Mutalisks are great against tanks, Banelings are great against Marines, but the one thing here is Select, speaking of tanks, is getting those tanks very late in this game. His factories are now just researching siege mode, so his tanks are considerably late this game, and he's not going to have that crucial tank support for a very long time, so his tank numbers are going to be kind of diminished. But at the same time, he is moving out of the top right with the medevac. He's got 3 Reapers coming in through the bottom side as well. It looks like he may be gearing up for double-pronged harass here, and I'm not sure why Idra didn't see that medevac. He has 2 overlords over here, and for whatever reason, he didn't see the medevac, and these Marines could strike him when he's not prepared. And yeah, both players just kind of posturing in the middle of the map, just preparing to do what they need to do to win this game. Idra moving in with quite a few Lings here, Banelings as well, and really wants control over that Xel'Naga tower. This tower is crucial for the Zerg player. It gives such an advanced warning system as to the Terran movements and what kind of units they're composed of. And Select just walking on the ground. That is so... You know, that's so weird. He's not using the medevac to move out. He's actually leaving the Marines to go on foot. Maybe he wants the Marines to get a little more exercise. Maybe he doesn't want... He probably doesn't want the medevac to be vulnerable to a single Muta strike. But it looks like these Mutas are going to run in. Now, those Marines already being on the ground is so key. And look at the reaction timing from Select. My God, he was on top of that like white on rice. He stemmed his Marines up as soon as those Mutas were in range. That was great reaction timing from Select. And thankfully that time he didn't have his Marines stuck inside the medevac, or he probably would have lost everything. Now he's going to retreat to the top right-hand corner, as it looks like Idra's barreling down. He's actually going to barrel down everything, and it looks like he's going right for the 3rd, and Select did not get a planetary fortress, so this is a vulnerable location. But with the bunker and the Marines there, I don't see these Marines doing all that much, or these Zerglings and Mutas doing all that much damage. It will come down to the micro. A couple of Zerglings coming in to test the waters. They do see all the Marines in the bunker there, and the 2 turrets coming up, and I think Idra will holster up his guns and run away from that engagement. I don't think that's going to turn out very favorably for Zerg at all. And I don't know how these 3 Reapers are still alive. These guys have been alive for pretty much all game. It's the same Reapers. This guy was the guy who originally got the Zergling kills and the drone kill, but they're going to go down now. So those mutas being there at the right place and at the right time, and they chuck a couple of grenades off. At the very least, they get a scout on the timing of the 4th hatchery, but that's about it. And I think now it's time. It's 15 minutes in. Both players have, you know, a very large number of workers, so they've pretty much reached maximum saturation. It's time for the action to really begin now. It's time for the fight to commence, because we all know at some point the blood has got to be spilled in StarCraft 2, and it looks like Select is going to be the first loser here, as he loses a major amount of Marines and that medevac. Those guys were alive for such a long time. Select with a great reaction timing to keep them alive and running them away to the top right hand corner, but they did go down to the mutas, and I think Idra with that kill has solidified himself a little bit more in this game. He is now on 4 bases, making a ton of banelings into the middle of the map, so it looks like he's gearing up for an attack here too, ladies and gentlemen. And Select, he has a great supply depot wall at the front, but will it be enough? I think Select certainly could have used those Marines that he lost in that earlier engagement in the medevac, and now the mutas coming into the natural. No air defense here. Well, there is some air defense, but not enough, and those turrets are getting ravaged by those mutas, and Idra once again showing the power of mass mutalisks. Massive numbers of mutalisks are just so hard to deal with for any race, and immediately what does Select do? He starts to construct Thors, the mighty way of dealing with numbers of mutalisks, because of course Thors force the mutas to spread out. But there is a vulnerability right now for Select, and it looks like he's lowered all the supply depots. Those Marines and Banelings have a chance to run right in, but it looks like Idra not going to take advantage of that. The supply depot wall is lowered, and now the walls have raised at the right side of the map. It looks like Select has got to hunker this down. He cannot allow those forces to come inside, but you know, I think what Idra's doing right now is he's trying to bait the Marines out in the open. We can see some of those Marines away from the protection of the wall, and as soon as they get out in the wide open, that's where Idra is going to just pop out of the ambush, and he is going to basically get a full surround. And so Select has got to be very, very careful of how he moves out right now. This is super risky. Oh man, he's just pushing out into the open like this with the army split in 2 different balls. If Idra was ready and waiting, then that could have been a disastrous trap. Now, it still could be pretty bad for Select. Select has got to stay next to the walls and ridges if he wants to be able to hold this off. He races the supply depot walls at the right time, and now it looks like a massive engagement here. The Meta's getting a great spread, the Banelings running in, and the entire Terran army is gonna go down just like that. Nothing left standing. And that was a great engagement for Idra. Once again, Select just not the best positioning in the middle of the map. I think really the tone was set when Select lost his medevac and all of those Marines, and maybe when he lost his Reapers as well. I mean, that had to be a little bit of a moral loss since he kept them alive for so long. But now there's this large group of mutas. It's a flock of mutas moving around the map. That command center just went down, and what answer does Select have? Excuse me, sorry guys, my mouse is just tweaking out today. But what answer does Select have to those mutalisks? I mean, you know, he doesn't have any Thors anymore. He's producing 2 now, so they are coming out on the field, but he is woefully behind on technology. We can see Idra now getting 3-3 with adrenal glands. That's a crack upgrade for Zerglings. Those Zerglings are going to be about to... they could take down a planetary fortress so quickly with that crack upgrade. And not only that, the Infestors are going to be so good. I mean, Select doesn't even have Ghosts yet. He's just now getting the Mobius Reactor, which is the energy upgrade for the Ghosts. But he is so behind in technology. He's so behind in numbers of bases. I just don't know what Select is going to do. Now, these mutas can actually just camp the production facilities, which is what Idra is going to do, but he's got to be careful here. The one thing about playing Zerg, even with a heavy advantage like this, is one crucial mistake is all it takes for a player to get back at you. If Idra manages to lose all these mutas, God forbid, then he could be facing just an all-out, you know, death push, and he won't have enough forces to deal with it. So Idra's got to be very careful, but at this point he is certainly favoring and holding a very big advantage. Really, Select's only chance now, I think, is just to mass out, 200 supply, push out, either go for an all-out push, or push and grab a 4th command center, which it looks like he's probably going to go with option B, because he's got a command center up already. But at some point, he's got to do it. I mean, the longer he waits, the further behind he falls, but I understand his dilemma, because the last time he pushed out, he just got crushed. And look at the upgrades coming on the production tab. 3 flyer attacks, Adrenal Glands about to finish, 3 melee, and 3 Broodlords. It could not get worse than that for Select. And Select flies out with the command center, runs right into the mutas. That command center is probably going to die. Unless these Marines come back. Yeah, they will come back in time. But now the forces are left in the open. This is what happened to Select last time, and that's why he lost. He's got to be very careful. Nice micro, picks up the Thor. And that command center will get some much needed repair. But man, what a game. And really, Idra just holding a dominant position over Select. And here it comes. That is a lot of infestors, and not only fungal growth being devastating here, but also infested Terrans. A lot of people underestimate the power of infested Terrans. So we'll have to see. Now, Select is near maxed out, and this is what I thought he should have done in the first place. You know, get pretty close to max, and then make a push and grab the 4th. And it's going to come down to the micro here. Oh! And speaking of micro, that was terrible for Select. He's going to lose a huge pack of Marines. No! Those Marines made it out of there. I don't know how they survived. They're going to get some crucial healing right now, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to heal as he's on the move right now. So those Marines are pretty close to death. Select is going to run away, but now because he's running away, this command center really has nowhere to go. It's just going to float on by. Floating away, nowhere to go. And here comes Idra with a lot of Broodlords. He's going to pound his way through that supply depot wall. And now while supply depots can block away from ground, they have absolutely nothing against Broodlords. More fungal growths coming down. Select really doesn't have the forces he needs. He does have some ghosts though, gets a couple EMPs off, but it's not really enough, I don't think, because Idra wisely leaving 4 or so infestors in the back. They have full energy. Oh, the EMP hits the infestors, so beautiful micro, and now does Select have a chance? Oh, there was another fungal growth waiting, and those Marines just ate it. And it looks like, is Select going to be able to hold? There's a couple of Thors still standing. One Thor still standing. That Thor went down. And it's looking pretty bleak right now for Select. All he's got left are these ghosts. And oh my god, those ghosts just sniped away all the Broodlords. I can't believe it. I think Select might barely make a hold here. But the thing is, Idra has 5,000 minerals banked up and 2,000 gas. And he's almost near max once again. And so he's flooding. It's a divulge of cracklings now. They're at 2-3, so they're almost fully max upgraded. And really, with the crack upgrade, who cares what other upgrades you have? These Zerglings are on crack, and they will level a building in seconds. And what is a Terran player going to do now? More command centers coming up because the last command center was an epic fail. And oh no, SCVs against cracklings. Run away, run for your lives. Thankfully, there's a tank in the background, and the tank is able to take out some of those SCVs, but taking a little bit of friendly fire SCVs along with them. But damn, I don't know how Select held that off. That was super crucial, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Now look at the composition coming out from Idra. 2 Ultras, 7 Broodlords. My mouse is tweaking out once again. It's getting too excited at this game. And Select is going to once again get an eviction notice slapped on that command center as it floats away. Actually, it might live here. Although that's a lot of cracklings. I don't know if those Marines are going to survive, especially with the infestors coming in. You don't even need the infestors at this point, although that was a great EMP. Money EMP right there, hits all the infestors, and the command center does go down. Just a battle all over the map right now, and this is insane, but it looks like maybe Select... No, I don't think he's going to be able to hold this off. That's just too many Broodlords, and really no Viking support. It's just a couple of Thors here. Thors don't fare very well against Broodlords at all. We can see those Broodlings getting their surround on the Thors. There are no Vikings in the air, and Select is forced to call the GG. But that was a really, really good game, just showcasing the dominant iron fist that Idra's left and right hands are made out of, and he just kind of took the game and crushed it between his 2 steel iron fists, and really no hope for Select right there. And that's really why Select cannot get into a super late macro game with Idra. And especially this map. I mean, I take it back. Select can get into a macro game with Idra, but on this map in particular, it is very difficult to do. I mean, just one thing to note here is even all throughout that chaos, look at the creep spread. Look at Idra's creep spread. It extends all the way from his base to the Terran's base. So, you know, Idra just on top of it, and this is why Select, if you're going to play on a big map, you can't get into macro mode. So I was surprised that Select didn't go for some quick cheese once again, but hey, he still got it up his sleeve. This series is super extended, guys. I have no idea how many games it goes up to. I think it's a best of 7 or a best of 9, one of those. I still don't know, but at this point it is currently 2-2 tied up between these two players. Game 5 is coming up next. I hope you guys stay tuned. This is HD signing out.